Hello and welcome back to the building of the Flair SE5A. Well, in actual fact, this looks a little bit more like an SE5 2.5 because I've only got the top wing in place. But what I've been concentrating on is adding a little bit more detail to the upper surface. There's the neighbour's cat. A little bit more detail to the upper surface because obviously it's very prominent. That being said, it's actually very difficult to find any decent photographs of the upper surface for obvious reasons, because when they're being photographed, it's either from below while the plane's in the air, or you can't see this upper surface because in the hangar it's difficult to see. But I have gleaned enough information to add, I hope, a little bit more texture. There was actually an auxiliary tank in the upper wing, which I've sort of simulated here. All the extra detail has been added with plastic card, and the rivets have been added with a syringe and liquid plastic. The vent pipes, which I take them to be, are simply bits of copper wire that I've bent to shape, and the brackets mounting them on are just very thin shim brass that I've folded around. I've spent quite some time making the mount for the gun. It's not completed yet, there's still some details to add, and it will need the brackets to mount it to the fuselage and to the sight, which will have to be removable. So I've been really busy with that. The upper wings have been covered, as you can see. You can see the extra riblets, which I think are worth the effort. Very subtle, but you can see them, and without them I think it would lose a lot of its appeal. I've also decided to take out the Albert figure from the original Flair figure for the cockpit, because on reflection he's just enormous. So there he is. I enjoyed painting them up, putting them together and painting them up, and it would have been nice to use an original Flair figure with the Flair paint, but he's absolutely enormous. It's just way out of scale. Now, I was at a swap meet at the weekend and I picked this figure up, which I've painted up. It's quite a shock when you put them next to each other. It appears tiny by comparison, and then you get the feeling, well, he's too small. But if you see, there's an enormous difference between the two. So to double check, what I've actually done is I've gone on the internet and found photographs of the prototype with the crew member in the cockpit, and this chap is very, very close to being correct, I think. If anything, he may be a little bit smaller, but I think I can get round that with the height adjustment. So Albert will go on the mantelpiece, and he'll just be an ornament until I find a plane for him to go into. This is going to be the new character. I think we'll call him Eric. So Eric's going into the cockpit, and he'll be the pilot for the plane when it's completed. So a lot of work has gone on getting to that stage. I'm going to begin covering the lower wing next. So until then, Sooty the cat says bye, and I say bye. I hope you enjoy your modelling and flying if you're lucky enough to get out there. Bye now.